What's going on YouTube, and welcome to today's video where, with the help of the Boruto community, we are once again doing a reaction type video where I ask you guys a question in the community tab. Example, with this video, I ask you guys to give me your Boruto timeskip theories, and I'd simply pick the best ones and give my initial reaction, whether I believe they are likely to happen or not. If you're new to the channel or missed out on the community post or just simply didn't get a chance to feature in the video, don't worry, I've officially decided to keep these community collaboration-like videos as a series, which is also going to get its own playlist, separate from the typical discussion video playlist. Now, before we dive into the question, man, what the hell? Last time we did this, I had roughly 50 something questions and picked about 12 to 13. This time, you guys left me 175 questions. That's more than I get on some of my videos. But in all seriousness, even after I was forced to not upload in June, I do gotta say thank you to everyone that has sticked by the channel and still stayed active in the community tabs and videos. As of this recording, I literally woke up to hitting 12k. I stopped uploading at 10, which says a lot. So even though this is small and doesn't own up to what I owe you guys, on the screen right now, you are looking at the rough draft for my next upcoming banner and just how it's pretty much structured. So yeah, thanks again guys for 12k, and let's officially get into these questions. Melvin is first up, and they say Denki and Tenten, oh here we go, will finally reveal themselves as Otsutsuki members and help in the fight against Code and all of them. I'm telling you, man, Naruto explained. Look at what influence you've done to this community.
We've been driving around the hills all day, turning corners like a maze. She like me, let's be honest, I'm dunking on her like Giannis. I'm giving her everything that you couldn't give her.
Rose is next on this list, and he says, I'm thinking that Daemon will be used as a plot device for Boruto's protection during his younger age. By that, I mean he'll take a liking to Boruto, kind of a Killua and Gon relationship, which will lead to him threatening Code if he touches him. I mean, I can definitely see this as a possibility, but for this to even happen, what about Boruto would Daemon like so much to betray his teammate and possibly his sister, which, you know, he loves a lot? It would most likely have to be a personality trait that Daemon just respects so much for him to side with Boruto. But if not, I just don't see how else he'd take a liking towards Boruto just off of fighting him once. Then again, it might be too early to say because there might be more to Daemon than we know. So this is still a possibility. The next question we got is from Ku Clay, and he says they have a fifth war with the Otsutsuki clan. Again, something that is also possible. The question now that I gotta ask in response is, who is they? Because it's not the Kages. They ain't doing shit. Naruto and Sasuke ain't doing shit. The next generation being Team 7, hoping and assuming Sarada gets some overpowered Mangekyos, they might do something, but their friends ain't doing shit. Like, I can see another ninja war happening most definitely, but I just don't know yet who the Otsutsuki clan would be going up against. Maybe Team 7 would be enough depending how broken they are, but if we are taking everyone into account, including all the unknown members, I just don't know. Part of me feels like there may be another race getting involved here, helping out the ninjas, and it wouldn't be a far fetch because we know the Otsutsuki are the most menacing race out there, destroying countless planets, and this unknown race may be introduced in the timeskip, eventually forming an alliance with humans to defeat the Otsutsuki. I don't know, that's my submission for the craziest timeskip theory. Next up we got Hypernova, and the question they ask is, I think Kawaki, Sarada, and Mitsuki will be a new Team 7, like going on missions while Boruto has to stay in the village while training with Sasuke and a little with Naruto without using karma. Then Code will come and ruin everything, and nobody will be strong enough. Then Boruto will leave the village trying to find a path for himself. Now here's the thing, I think your theory is very possible, almost accurate to be honest. I just think it's the wrong timeline. Boruto chapter 60 preview heavily hints that the new Kara is attacking very soon, before the time skip actually. So yeah, I agree with the part you said where they may destroy the village because our goal after all is to kill some of the most important characters to date, but I just don't think it's going to be after the time skip. Vintage Stealth is next up, and the questions they presented to us is, Amado isn't a villain but is trying to make Kawaki the strongest he can to help for an incoming disaster that is in Code and the Naruto Death Squad. Sasuke doesn't actually die like everyone thinks he will, but knows he can't defeat Kawaki in the future, and with Kawaki's love for Naruto, he won't die either. Kashin Koji takes Boruto to train, not Sasuke. So to start with the Amado theory, I can't say how accurate your theory is because Amado is the hardest character to decipher. Amado realistically is meant to be the Toby of the Boruto series, and with Boruto being pretty unpredictable, I can't promise anything right when it comes to this character specifically because we just don't know enough about him. However, I will say the one thing that we can predict about Amado is the fact that whatever his plan is, nobody will see it coming. So it most likely is something that the series so far has given us no direct hint to as of yet. If there is another disaster on its way, we may not have known, which makes this theory more accurate than probably most people think, if that makes sense. Now with the Sasuke theory, maybe? I honestly don't see Kishimoto killing both Naruto and Sasuke off from this story completely. If anything, I think it's more likely for Naruto to die just because he's the Hokage compared to Sasuke. But if both don't die, I think that's more likely to happen than both of them getting wiped out. And last but not least is the Kashinkoji theory. I think the likeliness of this is depending what may happen after this upcoming Kara battle. If something doesn't happen that won't require Boruto to leave the village, I don't see how Boruto would even get in that position to train under him. And if he does, cool. Jiraiya is the Naruto franchise's greatest teacher when you look at his resume of powerful students. I know in terms of personality, he's nothing like him, but hopefully he still does have that same wisdom as the original, which will turn Boruto into a fine student. Although you already know how people are gonna act once Koji trains Boruto, the Boruto series is trying to be like Naruto. Yeah. It's Meek, a fellow content creator, is up next, and he says Boruto and Kawaki versus the Itsuki King will be the final battle of the series. Oh, we going to the end of this series, huh? Honestly, I have no idea what direction they will take, because I'm gonna be real, it's hard as hell to predict anything about this show. 5 months ago, you could debate that Boruto was the evil one in the time skip. Now, with this recent chapter, apparently, Kawaki can still use the power of the Karma Seal without worrying about the isshiki reincarnation, meaning it's very possible now that the time skip fight is a fully conscious Boruto versus Kawaki battle. And when you compare Kishimoto's story from near the end of part 1 Naruto to Shippuden, you no way in hell could predict what would happen because it was way too early. I'm willing to bet that what happens in the final 15 to 20 chapters is going to be something that no one could ever predict right now, meaning Kishimoto may bring in completely new plot points that may not have much to do with the past. Christopher asks, do you think Boruto will have a rage moment or not? I mean, I think it was foreshadowed that something like this could happen, with Kodachi and Momoshiki telling us the story will get dark eventually and how Boruto will lose everything, so it wouldn't be out of place for Boruto to have his rage moment in between. Boruto becomes the Itsuki god. Ooh, this would be a crazy twist. Like I said before, it's way too early to give an honest opinion on this because there is just no concrete evidence of it happening or not. But if this were to happen, the setup would have to be crazy, and we'd be looking at an entirely different kid to who we know now. Boruto meeting the Itsuki god through Jogan. I mean, it's definitely not out of the question that something like this could happen, but there's a lot to discuss when it comes to this eye and its purpose. Toneri claims it to be the Star of Hope, yet Urashiki and Momoshiki claim it to be something dangerous. Urashiki states how dangerous that eye is, and Momoshiki is going on about how Boruto's blue eyes will take everything from him. The last line could mean anything, sure, but I'm honestly starting to think that the message of the Ao arc, where, you know, no source of power is necessarily good or bad, it all depends on how you use it, that could apply to this unknown dojutsu. Maybe whatever true abilities it holds will help Boruto save the world, but could also help him destroy it if something goes wrong. Daemon and Eida are going to have a tragic backstory before they become cyborgs, and Amado will be involved. Oh, definitely. This is practically confirmed when Eida explained to Code why she holds such hate for Amado. And it's exactly why in my last video I explained how Amado is practically screwed, especially if it turns out he isn't an overpowered being. Amado is part of another alien race. This is wild here, but in the galaxy, there were two major clans, the Itsuki and Amado's clan. Amado's clan was able to compete with the Itsuki because each one was born with a special ability. Example, clairvoyance, Eida's love ability, Damien's ability, etc. This would explain why Amado was able to give his cyborg such OP abilities. He might have found a way to take the abilities of his clan and engineer perfect copies that are able to be implanted in other organisms. I think that Amado would be the last survivor of his clan and that they were wiped out by the Itsukis. Amado's daughter was one of the ones who died at the hands of the Itsuki, and so he wants revenge on them. I could go more in depth, but I want to keep it short for this comment. Honestly, I love this. Some might think this theory could be out of pocket, but he's probably more right than 50% of the comments from the community tab, simply because he's going outside into the unknown. Amado being a completely different species has not much substance yet, but could be likely since there has been such a subtle hint in the Itsuki planet that was also bolded. Amado belonging to an unknown clan in another planet that was wiped out from the Itsuki is very possible. It also explains why he knows so much about them, because Jigen has no business telling him that much when it had nothing to do with him. Boru Kawai kissed at the end of the show. What the fuck? Amado making new cyborgs for Konoha or change current Shinobi into cyborgs? Man, first off, I doubt Naruto would allow this, but could you imagine? If this happens and Amado really does end up a traitor, he would have control over so many people. Hey, honestly, the more we get into these questions, the more I question how in hell does the ninja world go up against its future threat. God be if we get a 5th ninja war. You know it ain't gonna start off with ninjas on ninjas. Cyborgs and Itsukis are way different compared to Obito and Madara. I wish they'd give Orochimaru a more important role in the future of the series. They still left him creepy, mysterious, and questionable at times. I'd actually like to see him obtain stuff from the 4th Shinobi War and Itsuki DNA. Hey, all I'm gonna do is just put this thumbnail right here and move on to the next question. And last but definitely not least, since Kawaki and Boruto are both 80% Otsutsuki, Kawaki and Isshiki, Boruto and Momoshiki, they both might progress to 100% at some point and gain the abilities of their would-be host. Amado told Kawaki that he could give him another karma without the vessel part. What I say to that is Amado's experiment will fail, and the 80% data of Isshiki might bring Isshiki back to an extent, meaning that it will be Kawaki's conscience being influenced to an extent by Ishiki's morals and goals. Maybe that is why we see Kawaki using Ishiki's staff, and his whole demeanor gave off Jigen vibes. For Naruto and Sasuke, I think that Sasuke will die against Code or Daemon, but not without killing or mortally wounding one of them first. Naruto might die from Code and Sasuke from Daemon. So for the first half of this theory, by the way, I respect the thought you put into it. My only hesitation with it, however, is I don't think what drive Isshiki really motivated Kawaki to do what he did in the future. Remember, Ishiki's whole purpose for what we know right now was to seek out his clan's goal, him being for what he thought was the last known member. So his ego was driven by a superiority complex, since he thought he was destined to succeed the clan's main goal. Losing to humans wasn't acceptable to him, so when Naruto started to beat the crap out of him, if you reread that chapter, his tone completely changed, always charging at Naruto instead of typically thinking rationally. That's the character Isshiki is. Kawaki's reasoning for what led up to that moment are obviously unknown, but slowly as each chapter gets out, the small pieces are being filled. In chapter 58, in my chapter review, I stated that the whole chapter was a complete time skip reference, where Boruto and Kawaki literally fight for which method of training they will proceed with, both having two different ideologies even at that age. In the time skip, it's the same thing. They are both fighting for two of their respected ideologies, very similar to Naruto and Pain. If Kawaki was heavily influenced by Isshiki, I don't think he would send Naruto off somewhere. And as for the staff, yeah, that part is a little sus, but maybe it's just symbolism to show us that Kawaki has fully adapted to Ishiki's abilities and fighting style, using his powers that was given to him by Amado to complete his goal. For the last part where you went into why Naruto and Sasuke may die from the cyborgs, Sasuke is a definite possibility, but as for Naruto, it would only make sense if this took place after the Boruto and Kawaki battle, as Kawaki tells us that he sent Naruto off somewhere. And that is it for today, ladies and gents. Sorry if your question didn't get picked. I wanted to get through the best ones, but like I said at the beginning of the video, this isn't the last community video I do. There will definitely be a lot more, as I think most people on this channel enjoy them. And just because your question wasn't picked does not mean I don't appreciate it, and also helping me get to 12k. We are 8k away from reaching 20, which surprisingly 25 was going to be my goal for the end of next year. We might get that earlier than I thought at this rate. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd very much appreciate a like, and be sure to let me know which theory you enjoyed the most in the comments down below. I love every one of you, and I'll catch you on the next one.